Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another Marc Arrowe Off the Page. And as always, I am your host, Marc Arrowe. Today, I have a treat for you. Something that may be on your mind, may not be, but it is on the mind of a lot of creatives, a lot of authors, a lot of writers. There's even been strikes over it in the recent news of the Hollywood strikes that took place just last year. What am I talking about? I'm talking about artificial intelligence, AI. What is the whole deal with AI? Have you come across it yet? Do you use it? How do you feel about AI? Is it a nuisance? Is it a threat? Or is it, like many other things, a tool? We're going to spend a few minutes just deep diving into AI and if it's a nuisance or something that we can actually benefit from. So, growing up, when I would hear AI, when I would think about that, what I would think about is Terminator or Skynet. Or, when I was a kid, there used to be this really cool show called Johnny Quest. They would go into this computer generated place, and I honestly don't remember the whole point of that show, but there was some kind of artificial intelligence in there. I do think the earliest I can remember AI being something is Jarvis in the Iron Man movies. And that was pretty cool. That was a modern take because I do believe Jarvis actually is not AI in the comics. He is a person. But I'm sure they didn't want Jarvis to be mixed up with Alfred, Batman. At any rate, I didn't think much of AI. I never really thought it was anything to really be afraid of or, I enjoyed Terminator, but I kind of figured, robots wouldn't come back and try to kill us and we wouldn't have to go back in time or anything like that. Like it clearly was science fiction to me, something that I didn't think about. But it wasn't till not too long ago where a good friend of mine told me about something called ChatGPT. And I had been seeing AI popping up in a lot of articles online. There were a lot of people who were talking about, have you tried it? Have you tried it? So you know what I said? No, I haven't tried it. And I downloaded it on my phone. And I can tell you that since that day, ChatGPT has become part of my everyday life. I use AI for a lot of different things, mostly for emails, for editing purposes. It's good for flushing out ideas. And me personally, I love it. I love ChatGPT. But, as you're going more into a creative space, and especially with the strikes that happened last year with the artists and the Writers Guild, and there was a huge concern over how much do we use AI in art. Because if you haven't used it, you should really check it out. Some of this stuff is amazing. You can make high quality images, you can make videos, you can write entire scripts with it, honestly, now. But see, that's the thing I want to talk about. Is that something good or something bad? Well, let's look at it from a creative perspective. Why was Skynet something that was bad? And when I refer to Skynet, I'm talking about Terminator. Well, if you watch movies like Terminator, iRobot with Will Smith, if you watch those videos, oftentimes what happens is that the AI becomes aware of what we are. I do believe even in the second Avengers movie, Ultron was a form of AI that Tony Stark created. And in all these videos or movies or references to AI becomes self-aware. It sees the common flaw in humankind, and what does it do? It attacks and it destroys us. But is that realistic? I've seen it depends on what side of the internet you go and how deeply into the internet, in the rabbit hole you actually go. I'm sure there's conspiracy theorists out there who will talk about how AI is alive, and I've seen videos about robots saying strange things. I personally don't think that AI will ever become aware enough to the point of turning into Terminator. I think that's something that is most likely will remain science fiction. The powers that be still have a lot of control over that, and we'll just leave it at that. But the positives in AI I can say is that we don't have to really worry about AI rising up and making a robot army against us. I don't think that's true. But I do understand the concern in Hollywood wondering about if they'll have a job, because there's a current trend in just churning out content versus churning out anything that's really good. The more content you have, the more valuable your service tends to be, especially in these streaming wars that have been taking place in the last 5 to 6 years. So I can't see the future. I don't know. However, I do have my own ideas on whether or not AI is beneficial. Let's say someone who is starting a small business. Does someone who has ideas that are tremendous, but just doesn't have the funding of a big studio house? In that aspect, is that a bad thing to use AI to help do some of the heavy lifting while you're just getting started? Now, there is a clear definition of plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you pass something that is not yours as yours. But let's say you just use it to bounce ideas off of. At times, I'll chat with ChatGPT and say, "What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What would happen if the story went this way?" And it'll write back to you, it'll tell you its idea. And so now it's become more of a tool than maybe something that is actually doing the job that I'm actually doing. Since I am the creator, I'm the writer, I'm the producer. They are my thoughts, but when you think of like a movie production or a movie studio, if you ever watch any documentaries, these people have whole teams. Like if you stop and actually look at all the credits are rolling, all of those people helped that one movie or that one production or whatever it was. There's a whole team of individuals who do different jobs. Now, I can't see the future. Maybe one day AI will make it to the point of being able to do all of that. But for now, to me, you can't put a value on just how important people are in those procedures. So maybe that's a positive against AI. Someone who doesn't have the resources or the money, but is trying to use their creative edges to fulfill something. I don't know. Food for thought. I think another positive could be the fact that AI gives you a lot of information that at one point was hard to find. You can ask it anything to where if you want to learn something, there it is. So for individuals who are really trying to just learn and to, benefit themselves, I see no harm in it. Now, I have another individual who works with me, and they made the mention of, when you're promoting your stuff, you don't want to use AI because people will automatically disqualify you for using AI. That I don't understand. I don't know if it's because of his artistic integrity that people feel that they need to completely fight against it and that it's taking away the aspects of actual artists. I disagree. I think that if you're going to do something, do it. Regardless if something is generated by AI or drawn by hand, an idea is still an idea, and how we generate our ideas shouldn't be dictated to us, because that's the whole point of being a creative. That's the whole point of doing something that you like. It's a limit that someone else can't put on you because it's your idea. So why should you limit how I achieve my idea? Does it make it any less genuine than someone who paid $1,000 for production, or someone who has the same kind of thought that could be equally as successful? Not everybody has resources to do things, and just because someone has the resource or the money doesn't make it good. A good friend of mine says there are people out there who make movies and stories that are 10 times better than the movies that actually get made. And you just never know, because you'll just never know. Sometimes people are anonymous. Sometimes people never get into that creative headspace or get the right circumstances to actually be discovered. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. But I digress. I like AI. I think AI is a good tool to use. I think it as far as just that, nothing more. And finally, why I think someone said that AI is going to replace writers, I don't believe that. I think people's experiences and what they live is something that AI may never, most likely ever be able to copy. Because that's the beauty in art, is that art is subjective. What's good to me is bad to you, and what's bad to me is good to you. Art is subjective. There's always going to be someone who likes something and who brings their own unique spin and twist. And no matter how much we program computer to emulate that, it will always be an emulation. Thank you so much for these thoughts. This is just a brief deep dive on AI and art, and something that I was really thinking about. I wonder if you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There are more podcasts to come. Keep to the channel, keep looking out. And from me to everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and listen to my little discussion about AI and art. If you're an artist who is afraid, I say try it, get out there. Whether you use AI or whether you get a pencil and paper, it doesn't matter. Find your voice, find your creativity, find your spark. Thank you so much. This is Marc Arrowe, Off the Page. Have a good one.